The night the sirens broke the silence over Ridgewater County, most people were already asleep. It was 2:17 a.m., a cold November night, when the kind of fog that clings low to the ground makes even familiar roads look strange. But inside the Sanderson house, lights were burning in every window, shadows moved quickly across the curtains, and the neighborhood dogs were barking in one long, desperate chain. 17-year-old Claire Sanderson had vanished. The call came from her mother, Linda, whose shaking voice cut through the dispatcher's calm introduction. She kept repeating the same phrase over and over, as though the words themselves didn't make sense even to her. "She's gone. She's just gone. She was right here." Officers arrived within minutes. Ridgewater wasn't a big town, and a call like this, child missing in the middle of the night, was rare, terrifyingly rare. Claire's bedroom light was on. The window cracked open to the damp night air. Nothing looked violently disturbed. No broken glass, no signs of struggle, but there was a sense of wrongness in the room. A half-finished homework assignment sat on the desk. Her phone lay on the bed, screen glowing with an unread notification. Her sneakers were on the floor, one turned on its side. It looked like she had simply stood up and walked away. But no one, especially not a straight-A student with a scholarship interview the next morning, simply walked off into the night. Police worked fast. They pulled camera footage from nearby homes that had security systems. At 1:43 a.m., a motion-activated camera across the street captured something, a dark-colored SUV rolling slowly down the block with its headlights off. It paused in front of the Sanderson home for barely 4 seconds before continuing. The footage was grainy, shaky, pixelated. But something about the vehicle's movement felt deliberate. Investigators knocked on doors through the early hours of the morning. Most neighbors were groggy, confused, stumbling to answer. But one, Mr. Jacob Miller, was strangely alert, sitting fully dressed at his kitchen table as though he'd been expecting the knock. He told officers he'd heard nothing. He always told officers he heard nothing. Mr. Miller, a quiet man in his early 60s, lived alone. He'd been in the neighborhood for less than a year and kept mostly to himself. He wasn't rude, just distant. People in Ridgewater were friendly, but some folks seemed built from colder material. Officers noted the oddity, but had nothing solid to pursue. By sunrise, a search team of nearly 60 volunteers moved into the woods behind the Sanderson home. Ridgewater Forest stretched miles in every direction, a dense maze of pine, creek beds, and old hunting trails that sometimes led nowhere at all. For hours, they found nothing. But as the sun climbed higher, someone shouted. Near an old fire road, footprints appeared in the dirt, small, narrow ones matching Claire's size. They continued for almost a quarter mile before suddenly stopping at the tire tracks of a large vehicle. An SUV. The same kind seen hours earlier. Just after noon, the case turned. Officers went through the Sanderson family's call records, emails, school notices, online accounts, anything that could hint at someone in Claire's life who might have targeted her. That's when they found a message she had never opened. A message from an unknown number, sent at exactly 1:40 a.m., 3 minutes before the SUV passed her house. The message contained only 4 words. "I know your secret." Police immediately pulled her phone records. They found earlier texts from the same number a week before, but Claire had deleted them. All except one. It read, "Meet me tomorrow, midnight." The tone wasn't threatening, more like someone trying to corner her with information she didn't want to face. But whatever it was, it led her outside that night. Detectives traced the number to a prepaid burner phone purchased at a convenience store off Highway 18, the kind of place with a single security camera that hadn't worked in years. But employees remembered one thing. A man bought the phone wearing a baseball cap from Miller Construction, the same last name as the quiet man across the street. When investigators returned to question him, Jacob Miller wasn't home. His truck was parked outside, but the house was locked up. No answer to knocks. No sound inside except the hum of a refrigerator. Officers waited. Then they waited longer. By evening, they acquired a search warrant. Inside, they found something chilling. The walls of Miller's basement were covered in photographs. Hundreds of them, tacked up in rows, like some obsessive puzzle. All of Claire. Claire at the bus stop. Claire walking home from school. Claire entering the house. Claire sitting on the porch reading. Weeks of surveillance, maybe months. In the corner of the room stood the same dark SUV seen in the grainy footage. Its license plates were removed. The back was lined with blankets and a small metal lockbox. Inside the box were personal items. A bracelet Claire wore often, a keychain from her school, and a folded note with her handwriting that read, "I don't know who you are. Leave me alone." But the questions that mattered most, the only ones that mattered at all, were still unanswered. Where was Claire? And why had Miller taken her? A multi-state alert went out. Roadblocks were set. Police from 6 neighboring districts joined the search. Helicopters scanned forest land and abandoned industrial zones. Miller's photo went public. At 3:12 a.m., a trucker traveling north on Interstate 84 reported seeing a man walking along the shoulder, soaking wet, missing a jacket, even though the temperature was below freezing. The description matched Miller. Officers reached him within 20 minutes. He didn't run. He didn't speak. He simply looked tired, weak, almost relieved. He was taken into custody immediately. Interrogation began at dawn. For hours, he said nothing. His eyes stayed fixed on the table, hands motionless, expression unreadable. But as time passed, fatigue broke through whatever cold resolve he'd been carrying. He finally asked one question. "Did you find the cabin?" Detectives leaned in. "What cabin?" His jaw twitched. "The one by the water." A search team was dispatched instantly to Ridgewater Creek, a twisting, icy line of water that wound miles behind the forest. 2 hours later, they found it. An old, rotting hunting cabin collapsed in on itself, hidden behind a curtain of overgrown brush. Inside, strips of duct tape hung loose on the floor. A small blanket lay folded beside a pile of food wrappers. But no Claire. Only silence. Only emptiness. Then, behind the cabin, a trail. Fresh footprints, small ones, leading deeper into the woods. Search teams followed the tracks for nearly a mile until they reached a clearing near the creek's edge. There, sitting on a boulder with her arms wrapped tightly around her knees, was Claire. Shivering, crying, alive. She had escaped hours before, slipping through a weak spot in the cabin wall when Miller left to fetch water from the creek. She didn't know how long she had run, only that she kept moving toward the sound of the water, hoping someone would find her. And someone did. She was taken to the hospital and reunited with her parents later that evening. The moment her mother wrapped her arms around her, Claire broke into sobs, so deep they seemed to come from some place no person should ever have to reach. In custody, Miller gave fragmented statements. He said he watched her because she reminded him of someone he lost. He claimed he never meant to hurt her. But on the basement wall, among all the photographs, police found one disturbing detail. The pictures weren't just of Claire. They were labeled, cataloged, organized, like she wasn't a person, but a project. And Claire was number 17. 16 other names, young women from neighboring counties, were listed, each with dates and notes. Some were marked as moved, others as unresponsive, and a few simply had a single, cold word beside them. Ended. Authorities now began reopening cases that had been dismissed as runaways or unsolved disappearances. Miller's property was searched, his storage units, his old job sites, fields, wells, riverbanks, Ridgewater County realized it had not just escaped one tragedy, it had stumbled into the path of something far darker, far deeper, and far more chilling than they were prepared to face. Claire's escape didn't just save her life. It broke open a case that might have gone on for decades. Even today, in Ridgewater, people still talk about the night the sirens woke the town. But what they talk about more is the chilling question no one can answer. If Claire never got that message, "I know your secret," would anyone have ever found out what Jacob Miller really was?